Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Breakthrough Moments. Now, UNICEF has just said that Nigeria has the second highest number of children suffering from malnutrition globally, second. The UNICEF reports that Nigeria has about 2 million children who are malnourished, majority of whom are not receiving any treatment for their malnourishment. The UNICEF also describes the abduction of students in Kaduna State as a crisis. The security situation in Kaduna State, the UNICEF says, has become a crisis. Then let's turn to the IMF. Yes, Nigeria just paid the $3.4 billion loan it took from the IMF in 2020 in the wake of the coronavirus 19 crisis. Yes, we have paid that loan, but $126 million in interest remain to be paid from now till 2029. So we are still under some yoke somewhat. Now, this loan would not have been necessary had our leaders managed our resources prudently over the period, particularly since the APC took over the governance of the nation in 2015. Now, there's one basic rule for economic survival, whether you are a human being, that is, whether you are a person, or you are a group or a nation. And that rule is that you must keep savings aside, keep money aside for emergencies. Every person, every organization should keep money aside for the rainy day. Today, the price of Nigeria's crude oil in the international market hovers around $60 a barrel. Now, this is against a budget benchmark of $75. The latest budget was drawn on a crude oil price of $75 a barrel. Now, the prevailing average rate of crude oil in the last quarter of 2024 was exactly $75. So, the question is, why would any sensible person make a budget projection based on the exact existing value of the price of crude at the time of making their budget? Only a person who lacks sense budgets 100% of its projected earnings. That's when not get sense. Now you go do that kind of thing. And that's not what we do. Now, here is my fear. My fear is that in order to meet our current budget, Nigeria may soon dive into another round of reckless loan taking. Because you see, we have a federal government that knows little or nothing about reducing the cost of governance. Now, already the World Bank has approved a total of $2.25 billion in loans to the Tinubu government. Just look at it. You pay one loan today, tomorrow you go and take another loan. Is that progress? That is no progress. Now, further, the World Bank says that the projected GDP growth in 2025 for Nigeria is 3.5%. Now, if you take all the sub-Saharan African countries together, the average projected GDP growth is 4.1%. My question is, why must we always be below and never above? Why? Giant of Africa. Now, the World Bank goes further to say that 75.5% of rural Nigerians are living below the poverty line. You know what? I agree. Nigeria is a giant, but her legs have been broken by its leaders. Nigeria can't stand. Now, should we continue to sit down and fold our hands over these negative reports until Nigeria perishes? Now, curiously, the opposition politicians to whom we look for answers to the current debacle are defecting to the APC, the party that is at the center of our current woes. I ask, as I did ask in my previous episode, how does this defection make sense? Well, the answer probably lies in one obvious fact. The fact that the APC apparently has the capacity to win in quotes. The APC has the capacity to win any election in Nigeria because there is today no separation of powers between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, whether at the federal, state, or local government levels. All legislative houses have surrendered to the executive arms of government. They have become rubber stamps in the hands of the executive. In like manner, virtually all our courts are subject to the executive arms of government. They take our courts, take dictations from the executive. Damn! These three arms of government are supposed to be co-equals. Now, the APC has also pocketed the INEC and now seeks to pocket all of us. Now, the annoying aspect to this development is that they don't do these things in secret anymore. They do them openly and dare us to ask what they are doing. They dare us to challenge them. In place of the constitutional separation of powers for societal good, what we now have today in Nigeria is a terrible coalition of the three arms of government into one monolithic cult that looks after itself and no more. The cult members promote the interests of their friends and their families. Political offices and appointment to high positions of judges have now become dynasties reserved from the families of these cult members and their friends and collaborators. That is why a son can conduct himself and parade himself as a successor in waiting to his father president. Nigeria is fast turning into a banana republic. Listen to me. Make votes count going forward. Simply make the people's votes count going forward, and you have broken the bones of the members of this court. You have demolished this court. The thing the court fears most is making the votes of Nigerians count, and that is the core of our challenge. You see, it is the powers of the court that have made them to declare incessantly, go to court, go to court. They make this declaration against opposition elements who cry foul over rigged elections. It is because the court has these powers. Now, gradually, the APC is spreading its tentacles over the 36 states of the Federation. That is the major agenda of this court. How can you have a nation where you have only one political party? Is Nigeria a communist state? Obviously, the defectors going to the APC are doing so to secure automatic election victories and have their rotten and corrupt footprints erased. Because the APC has gotten away with their go-to-court arrogance, this has emboldened them to now make a new declaration that your sins are forgiven the moment you join the APC. The moment you join the court, all your sins are forgiven. This is another dangerous utterance that threatens to stab Nigeria repeatedly in the belly and snuff life out of her. This is what happens when you allow an evil person too much room and space around your domain. They continue to come up with more evil ideas. That's a pity. Now, with no checks and balances to ensure equity and fairness, no checks and balances to ensure justice and a level playing field, with no checks and balances to install the supremacy of truth across our land, sanity has died. Now, my question is, will Nigerians allow sanity to be buried, or will we now rise up and, as it were, resurrect sanity in our nation? I repeat, there is only one key that can stop the progress of this court, and that key is that the votes of the masses of Nigerians must count in the next elections. Our votes simply must count. To my mind, this is what our destiny hangs on going forward, making our votes count. The court has built a system that ignores the votes of the people. They have decided that your vote and my vote will not be relevant when it comes to deciding who has won an election. This arrogant decision of the court must be overturned via electoral reforms. This country is in dire need of electoral reforms. The votes from every polling unit must be transmitted live to collation servers. This is the bare minimum that Nigerians must demand. Glitches or whatever looks like glitches from INEC must not be accepted. And to ensure all of this, INEC must no longer be manned by one sole administrator called the chairman. My suggestion is that INEC should be led by a committee of chairmen selected from the 6 geopolitical zones. This will provide a spread oversight across the nation of our national elections. Of course, the man called Mahmoud Yakubu should nowhere come near the new INEC, because the man has lost every credibility. Make no mistake about this. Let's not make a mistake about this. This is going to be a tough assignment for us Nigerians. We Nigerians must not imagine that the ruling court will initiate and oversee these reforms. They won't, because they know that transmitting votes live and in real time to collation servers will suck the blood out of their veins and arteries. They know that. Nigerians must demand these reforms via spontaneous mass actions across the breadth and length of our nation. You know what? This court doesn't listen to appeals. It can only succumb to a targeted revolution that specifically demands that the votes of the people count. That is what will mow this court down. Reforms that ensure that our votes count. You know what? The time for dormancy and niceness, the time for night vigils and prayers, the time for wishing and hoping, the time for hoping vainly that things will change on their own, that time has passed. The time for speaking loudly for votes to count is the time that has come. And this action must be sustained until even the deaf hear the voices of Nigerians. If we don't do this, if we don't force our votes to count in the next election, goodbye 2027. You know what? I don't care what else we do. Whether we campaign vigorously for good candidates in 2027 and troop out en masse to vote for them. Whether we gather in groups and lament our famous lamentation. How did we get here? Who did this to us? Who did we offend? Or if we throw up our hands and simply declare, it is well, God will help us. If we don't do something to force our votes to count, goodbye 2027. God forbid this. You know what? God won't do more than the voices he has given us to cry out against this terrible evil in our nation. Know this, the cult is relentless, and so too must we Nigerians be. We must be relentless. You know what? The die is cast. Shall we hear your voice when the call is made? They ask you. Here is the hashtag we must make go viral going forward. Hashtag make Nigerian votes count. Hashtag make Nigerian votes count. This is the hashtag we must make to go viral immediately. And we don't have much time to do this. From now on, we must end every email, every single social media post with this hashtag. Hashtag make Nigerian votes count. It must be an appendage to every post, every email that we send or post. This hashtag must become a viral topic of Nigeria as quickly as possible. Listen, silence is not an option at this time, because the life and the destiny of Nigeria is at stake. Please spread the news. Spread the news concerning this new hashtag. Make Nigerian votes count. Spread the news, and see you in the next episode. God bless you.